You know his face. If you watched movies in the 90s, you absolutely know his face. He was the guy who could instill pure terror with just a look. But the real story of Peter Greene is so much more complex than the villains he perfected on screen. It's a story of a brilliant character actor, a gentle soul, and a tragic mystery that honestly leaves us with more questions than answers.
And it all starts with this strange, almost creepy detail. Picture it, an apartment in the Lower East Side, and for days on end, Christmas music is just playing on a loop. That eerie, festive sound, well, it turned out to be the first sign that something was terribly, terribly wrong. It was the soundtrack to a discovery that was about to make headlines.
So, on Friday, December 12th, those concerned neighbors finally made the call. Police showed up to do a wellness check. At 3:25 in the afternoon, they went into his Clinton Street apartment, and inside, they found Peter Greene, unresponsive. He was pronounced dead right there at the scene. He was only 60 years old.
So to really understand the impact of his death, we have to talk about his career. Because back in the 1990s, if your movie needed a truly unsettling bad guy, there was one person you called. Peter Greene didn't just play villains, he basically defined them for a generation.
Let's just start with the big one, Zed in Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction. I mean, the cultural impact of this role was just massive. He created one of the most genuinely terrifying characters in modern cinema. Sure, everyone knows the line, "Zed's dead, baby," right? It's iconic. But the only reason that line has so much power is because of Greene's chilling, sadistic performance. That's what makes it stick with you.
And get this, in the very same year, he was terrifying a completely different audience. As the mobster Dorian Tyrell in The Mask, he was the perfect, genuinely menacing bad guy opposite Jim Carrey's cartoonish hero. He brought a raw, real sense of danger to what was otherwise a fantasy comedy film.
And then, boom, the very next year, he delivers another all-time classic performance in The Usual Suspects. As Redfoot, the tough-as-nails fence, he has that one incredible scene where he just flicks a lit cigarette right into Stephen Baldwin's face. It's a small role, but it is pure, concentrated menace. He just owned that entire space.
You know, his longtime manager, Greg Edwards, probably put it best. He said nobody played a bad guy better than Peter. And it was true. It wasn't just about looking tough, it was this unsettling energy he brought to the screen, a kind of dark charisma that made his villains feel authentically dangerous.
But this is where we get to the central paradox of Peter Greene's life. The man who was so unbelievably convincing as a monster on screen was, by all accounts, the complete opposite in real life. And this is where his story gets truly compelling.
The contrast is just jarring. On screen, he's sadistic, ruthless, corrupt. But his own manager described the man himself as having a gentle side and a heart as big as gold. And this wasn't some kind of PR spin. This is how the people closest to him genuinely saw him.
So it begs the question, how does someone so gentle play evil so well? Well, part of the answer might be buried in a life that was anything but easy. Behind all of those acclaimed performances was a history of very real, very difficult personal battles that he fought for decades.
His journey was a really stark one. He ran away from home at 15. He was homeless in New York City. Now, acting became his calling in his mid-20s, but that couldn't just erase the past. He was always really open about his long battle with heroin and cocaine addiction, which led to arrests, and he even spoke publicly about a suicide attempt in 1996. You have to wonder if it was that life of hardship that informed the raw pain we saw in his characters.
And yet the story you hear from the people who knew him isn't one of defeat. His manager made it a point to say he fought his demons but overcame them. So this wasn't a story about someone who succumbed to their struggles. It was a story of resilience, of someone who was constantly fighting back to reclaim his life and his art.
And that fight is what allowed him to build this incredible, lasting legacy. He wasn't just the guy from Pulp Fiction. He was a dedicated, working actor who never, ever stopped creating. And he earned the respect of fans and his peers for his raw, undeniable talent.
Just think about the sheer volume of his work for a second. We're talking nearly 95 screen credits. That is a career of sustained effort, stretching over more than 30 years. From his very first role in 1990, right up until his death, he was constantly on our screens, leaving his mark on everything he touched.
And he had absolutely no intention of slowing down. He had just appeared in the John Wick prequel series The Continental. He was about to start filming a new thriller with Mickey Rourke, and he was passionately working on a documentary that he was co-producing and set to narrate. He was an artist with projects lined up, still very, very much in the game. After he died, the public's perception of him just became crystal clear as tributes poured in. On Reddit, you had people sharing stories of meeting a nice, approachable guy on the streets of New York. Over on X, fans praised him as an underrated actor who was intimidatingly good. It was this genuine outpouring of love for both the artist and the man.
Which brings us right back to where we started, with that central mystery still unsolved. While the police have said that no foul play is suspected, an official cause of death still hasn't been released. It's all pending a report from the medical examiner, which leaves everyone without a final answer.
So we're left with this. Peter Greene's legacy is a complex one. He gave us these unforgettable villains that were born from a place of darkness, yet in his own life, he was the one fighting those shadows every single day. Maybe his greatest role wasn't on screen at all, but the one he lived, a survivor, a friend, and a truly one-of-a-kind talent.